Alright guys, we are really closing in on the job lot. Able to see a little bit to the end of the tunnel now. Recently looked at the panels, shells, and windshields, and today I've got to pick one of these categories to do. Oh boy, the plates are a bit overwhelming because this is a pretty large bin and it is full to the top. And there's some good stuff in here. It's just going to take a while to get through. I've combined the angled, round, and regular plates all together. I think I was even throwing tiles in there at one point. So again, as with some of the other groups, multiple subcategories to go through. I'm going to try to condense it, but it's going to take a little while to get just through the sorting phase, which won't be covered on camera, but just stuff going on in the background that's related to how long this is taking. And I'm not working on just this either. So some smaller groups in here. I'm not sure how much of this stuff I'll be directly covering, but it will be included in the final count. And then I have modified bricks, slopes, and kind of our Technic and wheels bin. So those four large categories, and then maybe a short recap on these subcategories. Minifig accessories. I've got some dishes set aside, and then some other stuff that I already was sorting out, just to get maybe a little bit of footage, get it counted. But today, let's see, I think today I want to talk about the slopes. Just a couple minutes in to the bin of slopes, and there's already a huge variety. Just trying to do some major groupings here, and I might pass on doing my rubricable inventory for this category. Just not feeling it today. That's fine. I'm still gonna get a count and at least have like a count of the major sections. And the other thing I do that I've always done is get some pictures, and I actually have this footage as well of the breakdown. So if at some point in the future I'm sitting around with nothing to do and I say, I really wish I had these slopes in rubricable, it's just a matter of getting back to my documentation and doing it at a later date without the pieces in hand, which I have done before. It's not the end of the world. Yeah, so that's fine if I want to get back to that in the future, but today just going to try to do a subgroup of slopes out of the main slopes category, and then get the count breakdown for those subgroups. Alright, the top bin is what's left to sort from Joblot slopes, and the bottom bin underneath it right there is what was in the box when I sorted my slopes into the Akro-Mils. So sorting out the slopes video, still working on that, and it's actually just as many coming in from the job lot as I had stacked up in the backlog. Plus everything out here on the table. 4 groups, 4 part types sorted down all the way. I think this is all of the pieces from the job lot that are this type of piece. So the 2x8 and the 2x4 for 45 degrees, and then the 3x4 and 3x3 for the 33 degrees. Starting with these bigger pieces so that I can kind of pick them out of the small groupings there, and then I'll probably work my way down in size. And as I dig through for these types of pieces, I'm also pulling out curve slopes. So everything curved is over here, and inverted kind of where it's connected on both sides, and then these other types of pieces as well. So some of these are the larger ones that are right on top. It's easy to get those out first, and there's not very many, so for efficiency it's just better to get those out of the way kind of in their own little group. Pieces like the 6x8 or these long triple curves. Going to get to those later, but getting them out of the way of the smaller pieces so that I can start to work my way down. So what I'm going to do, instead of log these on rubricable at this point, I'm going to get a picture for the inventory, a quick count here, and this is going to shave a lot of time off of my usual process, just trying to get these slopes worked through a little bit quicker. And at some point I might get back to it and get it logged on rubricable, but that is not the main point of the task at the moment. Trying to work towards getting a final piece count for the job lot. 32, 2x8, 45 degrees. 39, 3x4, 33 degrees. Just going over these first categories that I did have set out. Nice print here. Actually, nice mix of the 3x3 regular 33 degree slopes. It's not something you see very often. And with the 2x4 45 degree slopes, how many of these were there? Okay, 61 of these. Big numbers for a single piece, but this is the Joblot, so it's kind of what I was expecting. That's the ones that I had started off. So basically it's rinse and repeat for the rest of the piece types. When it comes to these little curved ones, I don't know if I'm going to be this thorough. I might just try to do groupings instead of individuals. But for these regular positive slopes, it's easy enough to go down the list. Well, something like this, where I just have things separated out by their slope angle. So for the 10 degrees, which as we calculated in the footnotes is actually like closer to 9, that's just a single 6x8, so there's only one in that group. 18 degrees has a few more, and these are the really shallow ones. And then you just go down the list. So for the positive regular slopes, I'll be able to do down to the individual piece type, but for curve slopes, I'll probably try to do groupings. Steady progress. Usually you start with the smaller pieces and work your way up, but since the cheese slopes are so small, they kind of filter down to the bottom of that larger bin. So I haven't really got to these until I took care of most of the larger pieces first. And that's fine. It's just order of operation, counting certain piece types at a time. So as long as they get counted at some point, it doesn't really matter in the end. But really nice spread here. Of course, when we buy these lots with over 10,000, 20,000 pieces, you get a pretty good sample size of what pieces are in sets, and that does depend on the age of the lot. So the cheese slope, I wouldn't call it a new piece anymore, but it hasn't been around as long as the classic bricks, a lot of the classic slopes that do make up this bulk lot. So the presence of this many cheese slopes does kind of say that it's within the last 10 to 15 years would be the majority of the sets in this lot. And that's just one of the markers you can use as you go through bulk lots like this, even getting down to certain colors when you look at a specific piece, because certain colors were introduced later as well. But I don't know that as much for the cheese slope as I do maybe for some of the pieces we've done in our Hue Tap series, where I actually did look at certain colors, that kind of thing. And we're on to the wonderful world of curved slopes. So the non-regular, and these are the ones that I haven't sorted into my Akro-Mils, because there seems to be a larger variety of the curved slopes. I'm not sure if that's factual, but that's kind of the feel that I get as I go through these different pieces and try to group them by category and just do my sorting and my counting. There are main families though, and that's helpful. So the compound curve slopes can kind of be distinguished by a few different groups of where we actually have the profile that matches a 33 degree on this side, and then the longer end is actually the curved or the bow part of it. So by the time you account for the 33 degree slope going that way and the bow going this way, then there's a little bit of a wedge to fill in. So this would be like a wedge slope or a compound slope. And there's a couple different sizes of these. The 3 by 12, 3 by 10, and it does go down to 3 by 8 with a little bump up. And then you get to the 2 by 6 version of these that match up with a 45 degree, which are over there yet. I don't think I'm going to go all the way down with my slopes. I'm trying to get this table cleared off and move on to another project. So I am going to cut the video before I get the final count for this subcategory, but I just wanted to discuss a little bit of the curved slopes, even if I'm not going to get all the way through them. Side note, the regular slopes final count was just under 2,000. It was like 1,950. So by the time I get the last stragglers out of my remaining mix from this job lot, there's still quite a few smaller pieces that aren't sorted all the way. So by the time I get the stragglers out of there, that should be about 2,000 regular slopes. And the curved ones probably add another 500 on top of that. Another big category. So like I was saying, compound, and then there's kind of your regular curved slopes that are just a single bow shape to worry about. And then there's kind of the radial ones that form sections of a circle, usually a quarter section of a circle. So there's some 10, I think these are 6, 3 by 3, and then these odd guys are from the Cars line, I think. They're in this category as well. So that's about all I'm going to say about the job lot slopes. Thanks for watching again along in this category. A couple more to go, and then probably by the end of the year I'd like to have a final count for this project. But like I've mentioned in these videos before, it is definitely a process that I am letting get drawn out a little more than I would otherwise do with like an eBay haul or something. Just to have a little project to be a filler, something to work on in between, and also so that I don't get bogged down just working through one large purchase, which that's what this is. Fun prints did come in here. That $1,000 print is nice, and then some of these classic space ones. Mostly the modern version of the black and white computer screens, but a couple prints in here, and plenty of stickers on the curved ones. So that's all for today, guys. Curved slopes from the job lot, about 2,500 of them, and that gets added to the other ones that are already done. Check them out in the playlist. Otherwise, we'll see you guys next time on Brick System Brothers.